Tonight's story reveals the truth behind a legend. Before he became the monster in the mirror, Jeff was just a boy, bullied, burned, and whispered to by something wearing a smile. When the white husky appeared, it promised freedom. What it gave was madness. This is the origin of Jeff the Killer and the black sheep within. Welcome to Nightmare Proof, where true horror comes alive. Here, you'll hear real stories of the strange, the disturbing, and the unexplainable. Turn down the lights, get comfortable, and prepare to face the darkness. The Black Sheep Within, a quiet, smoky bar buzzed with murmured conversation and clinking glasses. The door creaked open, and a man stepped inside, leather jacket, scar running along the side of his neck, eyes like someone who'd seen too much. He approached the bartender, who was polishing a glass. "Whiskey," the man said, voice low. The bartender eyed him skeptically. "Got ID?" The man slid a worn card across the counter. The name read, Josh Miller, date of birth, the 9th of October 1989. Country, Texas. The bartender poured the drink without another word. The man silently took a sip. On the bar's old TV, a breaking news alert flashed. The anchor's voice was urgent. "Another brutal attack last night on the outskirts of Pine Creek. Multiple victims injured, no fatalities." Authorities believe the attacker to be the Phantom Stalker, known to be Jeff Hutcherson, a 4-year-old white male with jet black hair, a mouth carved into a permanent smile, and eyes scarred from severe burns. 11 years ago, a tragic massacre occurred in Smiletown, leaving only one survivor. That survivor remains anonymous to this day. The man at the bar didn't flinch. He only stared deeper into his drink. Chapter 1: The Move. Jeff's family was driving to their new home in Smiletown. Jeff sighed deeply, staring out the window at the passing forest. Liu noticed and asked, "What's wrong?" Jeff replied, "Dad's job makes us move all the mine. Time. I'm mad I won't see my friends again." Liu smiled, trying to cheer him up. As he talked, Jeff's eyes caught something outside a white husky with a terrifying smile standing among the trees. "Jeff, what's wrong?" Liu asked again, snapping him back to reality. "Nothing," Jeff said quickly. About 30 minutes later, they arrived at their new home. Their next-door neighbor came over to their house to greet them and invite them to her son's birthday party. She smiled warmly at first, but when her eyes met Jeff's, her smile stretched wider, almost too wide, like she had seen something in him she liked. Jeff stood frozen, staring back into her eyes until his mother's voice snapped him out of it. With a cheerful smile, Jeff's mom said, "We'd be happy to join. When will the party be?" "In 2 weeks," the neighbor replied pleasantly. Jeff's mom thanked her, but Jeff only frowned, looking skeptical. "Are you serious?" Jeff asked his mom. "Oh, come on, Jeff, it'll be fun," Liu chimed in. Jeff shot Liu a look. "Not you too." Chapter 2: The Fight. Jeff woke to the pale morning light spilling into his room. It was his first day at the new school. He dragged himself downstairs, eyes heavy, and sat at the table. His family was already eating. "You look awful," his mom said, frowning. "What happened? Bad nightmares, I think," Jeff muttered. "You think?" she pressed. Jeff stared at her with a blank, unreadable face. "Well, eat your breakfast," she said. "It's almost time to go." Jeff and Liu finished quickly, grabbed their bags, and headed out on foot. The neighborhood was quiet, the air still. Halfway down the street, Jeff's shoe came loose. He crouched to tie it, and something flew over him. A skateboard. "Watch it, asshole!" Jeff snapped. The rider turned and grinned. He had jet black hair and a mullet, a tank top with a faded Black Sabbath logo, ripped jeans, and a smug attitude. Behind him stood 2 others, a tall, skinny guy with long brown hair, a dark t-shirt, and worn-out sneakers, and a bald, heavy-set kid so overweight it looked like he'd never exercised a day in his life. The leader stopped his board and stepped closer. "Yo, fresh meat. I'm Logan. On my left is Finn. On my right is Hunter. Here's the deal, new kids gotta pay a fine, $50 a week. Jeff narrowed his eyes. Are you joking? Move aside. Logan chuckled and pulled a switchblade from his pocket. I'm not laughing. Before Jeff could react, Logan lunged. Liu stepped in between them, and the blade slashed his arm. Jeff froze for a split second, then it happened again. That same strange surge from before. And in the corner of his eye, across the street, the white husky was there again, smiling wider than ever. Jeff's heartbeat thundered in his ears. He lunged at Logan, grabbed his arm, and twisted until there was a sickening crack. Logan screamed, dropping the knife. Jeff spun toward Finn and slamming a fist into his face. Hunter rushed forward, but Jeff kicked him square in the stomach. The boy collapsed, retching on the pavement. Liu stared at Jeff in shock. A neighbor, hearing the commotion, peeked out from their front door. Their eyes widened at the sight of the bullies on the ground. Run, Jeff hissed. They bolted towards school. All day, Jeff's mind churned. In class, he couldn't stop replaying the fight, the moment of control, the rush of power. Part of him felt disgusted. The other part felt pleasure. By the time school ended, there was still no sign of the police. They walked home in silence. When they stepped through the door, their mom looked at Jeff. Why are you so happy? She asked. I don't know, Jeff said with a small shrug. Okay, well, dinner's ready, she replied. As they headed to the kitchen, a knock came at the door. 2 uniformed officers stood outside. Are your boys here? The first officer asked. Jeff's mom looked concerned. Yes, why? What happened? The officer exchanged a glance with his partner. A neighbor reported seeing 3 boys on the ground, injured. One of the boys' knife went missing. We just need to ask a few questions. Jeff stepped into view. The officer's eyes narrowed. You're coming with me. We want to ask you some questions. Panic rushed through him. It was all me, Jeff blurted out. The officer stepped inside and reached for his cuffs, but then, from behind, a voice rang out. Hey! It was Liu, holding Logan's knife. The 2 cops froze. Put the knife down, son. We don't want to hurt you. Liu's hand trembled. Then, slowly, he dropped the knife. They cuffed him without resistance. Jeff's chest ached. It was me, not him, he cried. Liu turned his head just enough to meet his brother's eyes. You don't have to help me, bro. We both know who did it. Jeff's eyes burned with tears as they led Liu away. Chapter 3, Black Sheep. The court session lasted less than an hour, but to Jeff, it felt like an eternity. He sat beside his mom, staring at the polished wood of the courtroom table, while the other side spoke. Logan, Finn, and Hunter sat confidently across the room, dressed in clean clothes with their hair neatly combed. Their lawyer, a tall man in an expensive suit, spoke with smooth confidence, twisting every fact until the truth was buried beneath his words. Finally, the judge cleared his throat and delivered the verdict. After reviewing the evidence and witness statements, he said firmly, I find the defendants, Logan Reed, Finn Carter, and Hunter Wells, not guilty of all charges. Jeff's heart sank. Then the judge turned toward Liu. As for the defendant, Liu Hutcherson, I find you guilty of assault causing actual bodily harm, attempted second-degree murder, and larceny. You are hereby sentenced to 8 years in juvenile detention. Jeff's mother gasped. Jeff's hands trembled as the bailiff approached Liu. The sound of the gavel echoed like thunder. When they arrived home, Jeff went straight to his room, shutting the door behind him. His mom called for him, but he didn't respond. His dad sighed. Give him some time, he said quietly. 2 weeks passed. David's birthday party was coming up. One morning, Jeff's mom gently woke him. He was still sad, still haunted by what had happened to his brother. She sat beside him and said softly, I know, Jeff. I know what you're feeling right now. Jeff looked up at her. Get dressed, she said, forcing a small smile. We don't want to be late for the party. You're gonna have fun there. Jeff sighed but got up. Downstairs, his mom eyed his outfit critically. Are you really going to wear that? Please, put on something else. Frustrated, Jeff went back upstairs and rummaged through his closet. I have nothing good to wear. Where? He shouted. Finally, he settled on a white hoodie and black jeans. Coming down the stairs, Jeff caught the disapproving looks from his mom and dad. Are you serious? His dad asked, glancing at his watch. We don't have time. They arrived at the party, and Jeff's mom nudged him toward the yard. Go outside and play with the other kids. Jeff sighed and headed outside. He sat in a corner, feeling alone and sad, still thinking about Liu. David, the birthday boy, approached hesitantly. Want to play? No, Jeff muttered. David looked down, disappointed. Fine, Jeff relented. What are we playing? Cops and robbers, David said, handing Jeff a toy gun. For a while, Jeff almost forgot everything. He laughed and played, losing himself in the game. Then he heard the screech of wheels behind him. He turned, and there were the bullies, staring right at him. They jumped the fence and stormed toward Jeff. That's where we draw the line, Jeff said, standing. You got your payback, asshole. Logan smiled darkly. No, you're wrong. I don't want to be even. I want to win. As Logan spoke, two of the others pulled out pistols and aimed at the crowd. Kids screamed and cried. Parents gasped in horror. Logan lunged at Jeff, punching and kicking him. He slammed Jeff against a glass sliding door, shattering it. Cuts covered Jeff's body, blood dripping down his arms. As Logan stepped forward to finish him off, he pulled out a switchblade, flicking it open with a cruel smile. Logan laughed cruelly. Look at you. Pathetic. You sent your brother to juvie. Come on, fight me. Jeff lay bleeding on the ground, mouth full of blood, losing consciousness. As Logan readied the knife to finish him, the world seemed to slow, then stop. Time snapped like a broken string, and a low, creepy voice echoed in Jeff's head. Jeff! He rolled his head, trying to see where the voice came from. Who's there? He rasped. What do you want? A laugh, wet and wrong, rippled from the shadows. The white husky stepped forward, its grin wider than any living creature should bear. I have many names, it said, voice like teeth against glass. Smile Dog, God of Chaos, Death, Demon King, Lust. You. Call me what you want. What I want is to be set free. Jeff tried to pull himself up. Set free? What do you mean? The black sheep, the husky breathed, and the words slipped under his skin. The part of you that's been waiting, the thing you hide and pretend isn't there. It hungers. Look around. Jeff blinked at the faces frozen in the crowd, smiles everywhere, even on his parents. They wanted you dead, the husky hissed. Make them pay, make them suffer. Release the sheep inside you kill for me. In that moment, something inside Jeff uncoiled. He pounced on Logan, making him drop the knife, punching his chest repeatedly until he heard ribs break. Jeff then picked up the knife and stabbed Logan in the heart. Logan's eyes widened in shock, then went blank. Jeff stared at the body, feeling a twisted pleasure. Around him, everyone was frozen in fear. The two remaining bullies aimed their guns at Jeff. Jeff ran upstairs, with Finn chasing him. Downstairs, Jeff's dad tackled Hunter, pinning him to the ground. Hunter didn't struggle. Jeff and Finn burst into the bathroom. Jeff lunged, making Finn drop his gun. They grappled violently. Finn grabbed a glass of alcohol and smashed it over Jeff's head. Jeff collapsed, hitting a shelf. A bottle of bleach tipped over and spilled. As Jeff tried to get up, Finn laughed cruelly. What's so funny? Jeff gasped. Finn pulled out a Zippo. You're covered in alcohol, he said with a smirk. Before Jeff could react, Finn flicked the lighter. Flames engulfed Jeff instantly. Jeff screamed as the fire consumed him. He stumbled outside, falling down the stairs, crying for help. In the distance, the white husky watched its grin stretched in satisfaction. Jeff's vision blurred, and he lost consciousness. Chapter 4. The Change. Jeff woke up and quietly got up, but a nurse saw Jeff and stopped him. You need to stay in bed and rest, she said gently, You're in no shape to be up, young man." His mother stirred awake and, seeing Jeff sitting up, began to cry. "Jeff, Liu will be released from juvie," she said, her voice trembling with relief. "The two boys confessed. The charges will be dropped." Jeff let out a hollow laugh, empty and distant. His mother wiped her tears and forced a small smile. "I'm going home to prepare for Liu's release party," she said softly. "We'll all be together again soon." The next day, the doctor entered the room and began carefully removing Jeff's bandages. In the background, his family stood silently, watching his mother clutching her hands together, his father's face pale, and Liu's eyes full of nervous hope. No one spoke. The only sound was the soft rustle of the bandages being peeled away. When the last layer fell, everyone froze in horror. Jeff, concerned, got out of bed and went to the bathroom. His hair was blackened from bleach, his skin white, lips burned red. Jeff stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, tears streaming down his face. Liu approached quietly and said, "Are you okay?" Jeff gave a twisted smile, his face twitching every few seconds. "It's bad, I know, but look at my smooth face, it's beautiful." Jeff's father asked the doctor, "Is he okay?" The doctor sighed. "For cases like this, sometimes the trauma affects the mind. If his behavior worsens, we may need to admit him for a mental health evaluation." Jeff asked a nurse where his clothes were. She returned with his blood-stained, torn clothes from the glass shards. When they arrived home, the house was filled with laughter and chatter. Liu's release party was already in full swing. Family members crowded the living room. Uncles, aunties, cousins, grandparents, all smiling and celebrating his return. But the moment Jeff stepped through the door, the room fell silent. The laughter faded, replaced by uneasy stares and nervous whispers. One by one, relatives began to make excuses in early morning, a long drive, things to do. Within minutes, the party had quietly ended. Soon, the house was empty and still. Plates of uneaten cake sat on the table. Decorations hung limp in the quiet air. Jeff forced a small smile and said softly, "I'm tired. I'm going to bed." His mom looked at him, worried, her brow furrowed with unease. Jeff's dad reached out and gently grasped her arm, his voice calm as he reassured her, "He'll be fine." That night, his mother woke to sounds of crying, laughter, and slicing. She cautiously went to the bathroom and froze in horror. Jeff stood there, covered in blood. "I couldn't stop smiling," Jeff whispered. "It hurt, so I fixed it. I burned my eyelids to see my smile forever." "Am I beautiful, Mommy?" His mother, trembling, forced a smile. "Yes, honey, you're beautiful. Let me get your father." She turned and hurried downstairs, her hands shaking as she reached for the phone. "Hello, can you please send an officer over to my house? My son." Her voice broke off suddenly. On the other end, the dispatcher's voice came through, calm but growing concerned. "Ma'am? Hello? Are you still there?" Jeff's mother stood frozen, hearing a low, chilling whisper behind her. "You lied." Slowly, she turned and her eyes widened in terror. In Jeff's hands was Logan's knife, its edge glinting ominously. Panic surged through her. The phone slipped from her hand as she slowly turned. Her breath caught, fear flooding her eyes. "Jeff," she whispered, backing away. "Please, I'm sorry. Don't do this." From the phone on the floor, the dispatcher's voice came again, faint and frantic. "Ma'am, are you okay? Do you need help?" Jeff's expression was calm, almost gentle. "You'll be fine, Mommy. Just go to sleep." Jeff's father heard the noise and ran downstairs. He was met with a horrific sight, Jeff, playing with his mother's bloodied, lifeless body, like a child playing with his toys. He vomited and lunged at Jeff. Jeff dodged and stabbed his father in the neck, pushing the knife in until his stomach split open. Jeff looked at his father, tilting his head as if studying a work of art, a dark, unsettling admiration in his eyes. A slow, eerie smile spread across his face. Jeff calmly walked upstairs to Liu's room. He climbed on top of his brother's bed. Liu opened his eyes, weak but aware. Jeff leaned close and whispered in a creepy tone, "Go to sleep." Liu pushed him away and went downstairs to see their dead parents. He heard eerie laughter, echoing Jeff's laughter. Liu cried, "Why?" Jeff blinked, as if coming back to himself, tears streaming down his face. "Liu, help me," he sobbed. Liu, desperate to help his brother, stepped closer, his heart pounding. In the shadows behind Jeff, a white husky appeared, watching silently, its eyes glowing in the dim light. Suddenly, Jeff moved violently and slashed Liu's neck. The force sends Liu stumbling to the ground. Fear surged through Liu. His brother was lost somewhere in his own darkness. Liu lay on the ground, blood soaking his clothes, as Jeff raised the knife, a cold determination in his eyes. Suddenly, sirens blared nearby. A concerned neighbor had heard the chaos and called the police. Jeff glanced at Liu, a strange, almost remorseful look crossing his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered, then disappeared in the backyard into the forest. Liu struggled to stay conscious. Every breath labored. In the shadows, the husky appeared, its eyes glinting with eerie pleasure. It leaned closer, a whisper slipping into Liu's ear. "This was fun. We will meet again." Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the husky vanished into the darkness. Thank you for watching Nightmare Proof. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to keep the nightmares alive. Have a story of your own? Send it in, and you may hear it here next time. Until then, sleep well if you can.